welcome to the Survivor to Thriver show with your transformation guru, Samia Bano. Are you overcoming big challenges in your life? Do you want to transform the world? Is fear holding you back from taking the bold action you need to create massive positive change? If so, keep listening and transform that fear into freedom. Hey, welcome back to the Survivor to Thriver show. Last episode, we started exploring the idea that when we really dig down to the root cause of our fears, the thing that we are really most afraid of is feeling the feelings that we don't want to feel. It's the fear of fear itself. It's the fear of feeling the fear or feeling the sadness, feeling the anger or the hate or whatever it is for you, that feeling that you do not like to feel. And so you begin to run away from it. Or your inclination, your instinct is to run away from it. And so anything that you think may lead you to feel that feeling, you run away from. And your conscious mind interprets that desire to run away from that feeling as being afraid of that thing. So let's say at a conscious level, you recognize that you are afraid of public speaking, right? But it's not, if you really dig deep into what am I really afraid of? Because I may be afraid of public speaking, but there are so many other people who are not. So there is nothing intrinsic in public speaking that is scary. If I'm scared of it and you are not, the difference lies in our perspective. I have a perspective on public speaking that leads me to feel afraid of public speaking, whereas you have a different perspective on public speaking that leads you to maybe feeling excited about public speaking. We know people, right? I know people who are really excited about public speaking, who love to do public speaking. Or maybe you have a perspective on public speaking that leaves you feeling neutral about it. So there's nothing about public speaking in and of itself that is scary or not. It's all about the perspective that we have, right? So consciously, at the conscious level, you're like, okay, I'm feeling afraid of public speaking. But subconsciously, what you're really afraid of is the experience of those feelings that you find unpleasant, that you find undesirable to you. But just like with the surface level fears, if you can switch your perspective on what feeling that feeling means, you can shift, change, transform your emotional experience related to feeling that feeling as well. And that is a lesson that I thought was brilliantly demonstrated in the Harry Potter books, particularly in book number 3, The Prisoner of Azkaban, right? So hey, if you're not familiar with the Harry Potter books, go read them. But in the meanwhile, make sure, if you haven't listened to my last episode, make sure you listen to the last episode, because in the last episode I sort of explained what the characters I'm going to be referring to this episode, what they're all about. Okay, so if you're not familiar with Harry, the Dementors, with Bogarts, listen first to the last episode if you haven't listened to it already. Now, alright, so at this point I'm going to assume that you know who Harry Potter is, you know what a Dementor is, and you know what a Bogart is. So what we're going to do now is remind ourselves of how Harry dealt with the Bogart and the Dementors, and what we can learn from that, and how we can apply what Harry did to deal with the Bogart and the Dementors to help ourselves, to deal with our own fears, to deal with our inner Bogarts, to deal with our inner Dementors. So let's talk about the Bogart first. So remember, the Bogart is the creature that takes on the form of whatever you are most afraid of. So if you are most afraid of, let's say, spiders, when you come face to face with the Bogart takes on the form of a big, gigantic, scary spider. Now, how did Professor Lupin, who was the teacher, who's Harry's teacher for Defense Against the Dark Arts, what was the strategy that he taught Harry and the other students to banish a Bogart? Do you remember? That's right. It was the spell, right, that they had to do an incantation. That part's not relevant to us. It doesn't matter the specific words of the incantation. The part that's relevant to us is what they had to do as they recited their incantation. Because you could say the words of the incantation all you wanted, but if you are not mentally focused on doing what needed to be done to give the incantation its power, then it would have no impact. And the same is true for us. See, it's like you can, at an intellectual level, understand and accept all you want that, oh, my fear is not my enemy, my fear is my ally, my fear is my best friend, it's there to serve me, it's there to help me and support me. Even if you fully understand these ideas and agree with them at an intellectual level, but you're not emotionally focused on also aligning your emotional reality with this knowing, the intellectual understanding is not going to be sufficient in helping you to transform your fear. And it's not going to be effective at, let alone forget about transforming, you won't even be able to break through your fear. You won't even be able to effectively break through your fear. So how do we create the emotional reality that is in alignment with the knowing that fear is not our enemy, that fear is actually our ally, that is actually something good? So Professor Lupin, he basically said, okay, basically the essence of what you have to do is when you come to face with the Bogart, it takes on the form of what you are the most afraid of. Then you have to force it to take on the form of something that you find really, really funny, Take on the form of something that you find very, very humorous. See, and what really finishes off the Bogart is laughter. So when you are, through your focus, through your intention, with the power of your intention, you're able to switch your perspective and force the Bogart, the thing, that you're most afraid of, to take on the form of something funny, something humorous. And that you're so you see that the Bogart changes its form, and you're like able to let yourself really believe and sort of fully get into that vision, that state of mind, that focus, that like through focusing just on that humorous image. It's like the Bogart cannot survive that. And it goes poof, it's gone, it's banished. So it's the laughter is what really finishes off the Bogart, right? So an example from the book is like Harry's friend Ron is really afraid of spiders. So the Bogart takes on the form of this big, hairy, gigantic spider when Ron is faced with the Bogart. So Ron forces the Bogart to take on the image of a spider that is wearing ballet shoes and tap dancing. And, it's like he finds it so funny. Like the class, they find it so funny to see this big, hairy, gigantic spider like tap dancing. They burst out laughing. Right? So laughter finishes off the Bogart. Now, here's another example. Not from Harry Potter, but you may have heard of this. For people who are afraid of public speaking, oftentimes, they're given this tip. Okay, imagine the audience naked, or imagine all the audience in their underwear. Right? So it's like if you're actually doing that, and the extent to which you are successful in imagining your audience in this situation where they're sitting naked or sitting in their underwear, that's really, really funny. Right? And insofar as you're successfully focusing on this humorous image, it allows you to overcome the fear of public speaking so that you can do the deed, right? So you can continue with the public speaking that you need to engage in, right? So we know that this is a strategy to respond with humor to our fears, to transform what we find fear-inducing, find something humorous in it, and transform it into, force it to, and shift our own perspectives, so that we see that humor. Great strategy. So where can you apply this strategy in your life? What is something that you're afraid of? I want you to brainstorm how you can give it a funny form, a humorous form, look at it from a perspective that makes you smile, that makes you laugh about it. Now, if you find yourself struggling with that, please do not continue to struggle with it on your own. Reach out for help and support. And I'm one person you can reach out to. Just go to my website at www.academyofthriving.com, click on the Contact Us page, and you'll see how we can connect. So until next time, I wish you lots of peace and joy.